Hey, I'm Dave,
And I'm Mike.
and we like the Myers-Briggs Personality type.
Actually, we love it.
We are obsessed.
We talk about it all the time.
Too much, to be honest.
Yeah, really.
But that's fine. He is an ENFP,
And David is an INFJ.
and together we make a pretty good friendship.
That's right. And so we're going to talk about the Myers-Briggs types, not just our own types, but the various sections of the Myers-Briggs. And we're also going to talk about individual types that we've come into contact with. And hopefully we will start a dialogue, not just with each other, but other people. Although specifically I hope to reach out to our other NF brothers and sisters and talk to
We
them.
love you.
Yes, we do. And honestly, we acknowledge that it's very tough to be an NF. I know all the types say that, but there's something very painful about being an NF. We don't have defense shields, and we get very hurt easily. And so hopefully we'll be able to reach out to all the other NFs. But all the types, of course, are involved in this dialogue as well. So today, for this video, we're going to talk specifically about being an ENFP and being an INFJ and what that's all about. So, Dave, let's hear about your INFJ experience. What aspect of being an INFJ do you personally feel strongly? In other words, what aspect of being an INFJ comes out really strong for you and you're really conscious of all the time?
For me, it's seeing through people, and
Okay.
when they're trying to just set up like a facade or something like that, I can totally tell when they're just being genuine and authentic and when they're not. Specifically, sorry for all the SPs out there, but you're really, really good at being inauthentic, and I can tell, especially when you're trying to sell a car to me. or just anyone in general, especially just other NFs, which I see a lot happen.
Being inauthentic.
Being inauthentic.
Yeah, that's awful.
Like, for some reason, they want to be, they're embarrassed about their feelings and they want to be teased. They think they're NTs.
Yeah, that's right. We're not going to stand for that. It's one thing for the
Yeah.
SPs to be inauthentic, but we expect that from them. Okay? But from fellow NFs, we hold you to a higher standard, and you need to be more authentic, particularly around the other NFs. Okay?
Yeah.
SPs, you just go right on being car salesmen.
Because you're good at that.
That's right, and we expect that from you.
Yeah.
But the other NFs, your inauthenticity it
will not stand.
No, it's really hurtful and painful, to the rest of us. Absolutely. We are not happy about it. All right, any kind of specific incident that relates to that, Dave? Do you like to share any personal anecdote?
Personal anecdote. Okay, well, I'll keep it simple and pretty funny. It's my friend who's an SJ.
Oh boy,
right?
SJs.
See, I write poetry, and I like.
Of course he does. He's an INFJ.
Of course I do.
What else would he be doing? Plumbing.
My depth cannot be communicated any other way. But my friend who's an SJ,
who love poetry, of course.
Yeah, of course. Like, he really, really wants to write poetry, but he's not that great at it. And he tries. He tries as dutiful as possible to write poetry. But I can tell it's just completely BS,
That's great. When I was in high school, one of my best friends, who was an ESTJ, wanted to write songs.
Yeah.
And he wanted to write songs like Van Halen, because he was into Van Halen. It's the 80s, okay? And so he wrote lyrics. He would write lyrics. They were terrible. They were terrible. Although he did try his best, so I can't fault him for that.
They do try, but
they do try. He did put in his effort, like he really concentrated. All right, so how does this affect inauthenticity? Like how does this connect to the other things you were talking about?
What, inauthenticity, being true to yourself? I mean, good poetry, good music, good lyrics, whatever. It doesn't, at least for an NF, it's not something you have to try. It's not something you're supposed to fake. It's supposed to come from within you, and you express something that you can't express otherwise. And that's very, very hard to swallow for someone like me when I'm like reading the most like cliche lyrics. Like he tried to write a kitsch poem recently because I was on this marathon of kitsch poem writing, and oh my god, I'd read it, but I wouldn't want to embarrass him.
Oh.
But I love him to death. But he should, I don't know, he's great at writing like synth music and working with computers, so he should stick with that. Stick with what you're good at. Don't try to be anything you're not.
Sure.
How about you, Mike? What would be your strongest experience for being an INFP?
Sure, I have a few. One, and this is actually going to change my answer than I was originally thinking of. One I have is when I'm going on a rant. Okay, when I have a rant, every now and then, those who know me know that I sometimes go on these rants. And I really feel the full ENFP experience when I'm going on a rant that I didn't even plan to have. Or maybe I somewhat planned it. I might have been practicing it about a half hour before because I teach. And so sometimes I'll suddenly have an emotional response to something that I want to talk about that day. But it'll be maybe right before class, so it's not like I'm preparing for it in the lecture. Like some of my best things, it's not like I prepare it. Yeah. I may have been thinking about it coming into the room, driving, but it wasn't like I was plotting it out. And then I'll go on this really strong rant about some sort of cause or some sort of value or some sort of, emotional response to something. And it'll be very, very, very strong. And I'll sort of get in the flow of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll start riffing. That's how I think of it in my mind. I'm sort of riffing, and I'll just sort of be going with it. And there comes a point. I think a lot of ENFPs experience this when they're having their rants, is that there comes a point where you sort of lose consciousness of the rant. Like the rant sort of takes a life of its own, and you're talking, and it's almost like you're listening to yourself talk. Like you're not even doing the talking anymore. The rant is sort of just rolling out of you, and
it's like
you're
a
sort
life of its own.
Yes, it has a life of its own, and you don't even know what you're saying anymore to a certain extent. That's a weird ENFP experience because all ENFPs have a moment of detachment, where you're sort of detached from your own self, and that's why we're so obsessed with identity and authenticity, because we have these moments where we're sort of watching ourselves outside of ourselves, or having an experience of ourselves separate from what we're actually doing. So sometimes when I'm lecturing, I'm sort of experiencing myself lecturing, and I'm not even in control of what I'm saying.
Wow, what's that like?
Sometimes, I'll tell you, well, when it's good and it's smoking and it's hot, it's kind of fun, and I'm just sort of going with the flow and everything's great. When I'm ranting because I'm upset about something, it's a little scary afterwards because I sort of think, oh my God, what did I say? Did I really say that? Did I really answer that in that way? That's very scary.
Has it ever caused you to say something that hurt other people's feelings?
Oh gosh, jeez.
It's getting juicy.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, certainly it has. Or actually, honestly, it's more likely that I offend somebody, that I say something that somebody finds offensive.
Any examples?
Oh, sure, lots of things.
Not to offend anybody, but
sure. So, for example, today, as you know, Dave, I started ranting. This was a minor rant, but I started ranting about Christianity and Christianity's Greco-Roman background, and that it's really Greek thought, and Christianity is based on Greek thought and Greek thinking and Greek culture, and it's really a Greek thought idea system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I was sort of dogging the common conception that Christianity is Judaic and has some sort of Judaic foundation. Meaning, what I was really saying, and nobody was picking up on this is the offensive part, that the New Testament really has nothing to do with the Old Testament. That even though these two things are slapped together in a book, they're really not nearly as connected as we think they are. And so I was sort of ranting about that, and then I sort of lost control of it. Not in a bad way. I mean, I was just sort of talking about it. But I think people might find that offensive. People who are religious might find it offensive.
Well, it's fine. Half the class didn't show up anyway. Because of the damn snow.
That's right.
So, yeah. So oh, sweet, almost 10 minutes. So, expect more videos like this. And so I'm Dave.
And I'm Mike.
and stay tuned